Hello all. We will try to work a little bit closer with classes with some additional information within a class. Let's make a directory, and we will also try to understand this with timers. We will create a file, timer pi, and we will use our basic structure we have been seeing in the last movie. Also, I want to stick to coding style. Okay. Okay, so we are in business. Let's head to the manual. Let's head to the manual. Now, in the manual, there are native API functions shown on here. And we will use this timer thing and we'll play with it. There are functions to create a timer, to delete one, ask for it from somewhere, set a frequency when it fires, get user data, and set user data we will have later maybe. We'll check about if it stopped, and we will say start. So let's try to put this in a kind of small program. No, F3, right? No, F4. No, F3. No, F6. No, here, F5. Okay, so now we are back at MSXVR. Okay. We have started to get a console, right? This is get those thing on here, and then we started to write something, print whatever. But we don't want to implement everything in our virtual start function on here. We will we will split our application in several functions which are doing then something. Print whatever, or greeting. Maybe it's better greeting. Okay, but we would need to call this get those thing all the time again. So we will make usage of our thing in classes. We can define properties of an object, remember? And we will define here a console and set it to nothing. And as this one on here is the first method which is executed, we can actually say set this property to the handle which this one here provides back. And as we have done it, then we can start our application, right? And this one sees this variable and says, voila, okay. And after it has coming back, we will end the program. Okay, voila, and it comes back. So we will have here some properties of this class. And as we will use a timer object, and we will access it from several positions where it makes sense to have split it in before, we will also make a timer object globally accessible by the methods of this class. And what we will do, we will maybe say a timer which prints something at different positions. So let's define a variable of the x and y position. We will increment and let's have the timer if it's running maybe 10 times or whatever. Let's move it on here. Let's make maximum of iterations. We will allow, let's make 15. It's okay. And maybe it makes also sense to count how many iterations we have passed. Okay, so now this virtual start thing, this is actually the only method which takes care to get the system up and running. Okay, so what we will do, we will instantiate a timer, and we will use this one here. You see, this one will be filled by something while we are timer new, while we are calling the function, the native function timer new. And the timer new function expects parameters. It wants to know an identifier. Let's make it time1, time1. And if we head back, do I want to switch? No, I will just continue. And whenever this timer is firing, which means if a specific time has elapsed, then it wants to start a method, for example, greeting. But it asks in which context the method can be found. But we will answer it. In this context, you will find, in this context of this class, you will find something which names timer 1 elapsed. Okay, yeah. Timer 1 elapsed. Yeah. Let's remove this. Timer 1 elapsed. Yeah. Yeah. This here is executed after timer fired. Okay. Okay. So, and this function also expects, no, it does not expect, it's optional. There is one switch to define a time in milliseconds or in microseconds, and the default is false for milliseconds, and this is enough for us. Okay. The timers, after they start to live, they are stopped. But anyway, we will check for it. Okay. If timer is stopped, I'm typing it because I have prepared this code, so it's not from my brain. We will ask the question if the timer is stopped, the name with the instance timer we have created here. If this one is true, we will just say console print line timer is here and stop. Okay, we will uncomment this so we have time to look about the result. So, okay. Okay, and you see in here an error. It's the timer elapsed function will be called, and while it will be called, it will also supply it with a parameter. But we have not defined the function that it accepts parameters or data. Let's make just a variable in data. Yeah. Let's try once more. Okay, timer is here and stopped. Yeah, the timer lives. Okay. So now, as it's living, we can configure the timer, and we will use the function of the native function to set a frequency. and this asks us which timer it needs to configure. It will say the instance we have created, and we will say 500 microseconds, so a half second, right? Okay, and then we will start the timer as we have configured it. Okay, now we need to every 500 milliseconds this function is jumped on with some given data we don't know yet about, but we don't care. And what we will do on here, we will, because we want to print something on different locations, what we will do, we will simply change the position where something will be outputted. Okay, so we will say on and then locate. This is one function we can find in the manual, and we will give these coordinates. This on here will set the cursor, and now we can okay, but actually, as we wanna use this one here, max iteration, we need to count this downwards. Okay, what we will do is we will ask actually we will say it, right? We will decrement this. Okay, and we will ask if this thing is 0 or not, so we know that we have done it 15 times. Yeah, so if timer 1 max iteration is 0, then we will stop the timer. Yeah, because then we want to finish this thing. We will use timer stop and relate to the object of the timer we wanna stop, and then we will output it. Let's make like this. Stopped. Okay. And after it has been stopped, we can also delete the timer. We can remove it from the memory. We can release the memory. And then we can actually also stop our program. Okay. Yeah. This end function, it's not mandatory that this is being called in the virtual start method. Yeah. We just have to make sure that it is somewhere called. Okay. So, but if we have not done something 15 times, right? As we have done it, we can increment our counter just for print out later. We can increment this one here. And now, as we have set the coordinates of the cursor, we can print. We can say, what do we want? Something is moving. Okay, something is moving. And then we will return this function here. Okay. Maybe it makes sense to clear the screen before we set the cursor. So we will just see this text phrase on here moving. I hope. Let's try. Run. Okay. Something is moving. Okay. And timer has been stopped. Okay. If the timer is stopped, is true. If this answer on here is true, then this portion of code is executed. Yeah. And if not, it just go to here, but it stops the program on here. It is getting stuck, right? This is the thing where we had to press the Control-C thing, right? Yeah. But we will take care that this program stops when we have done our job, right? Yeah. So this is one thing we used. Maybe it's new for you. Okay. So this is the first thing on here. Boom. Something is moving. Okay. And if we are equating this thing on here, we will see on here also timer and start directly. Okay. Okay. And now, if we are going back to our editor, right? Oh, you remember we need to create an edit.ini file, but we can also load the code on here. So now we have incremented the iteration counter. Let's say something is moving, timer has been stopped. After, let's split the string and concatenate it and put on here the iteration counter. Let's put this on here in timer 1 iteration counter. And let's see what it tells us. Something is moving, okay. Oh, we need to look fast because it will return, right? After 14. Have you seen it? After 14. So why? Why the heck? 14. This seems to be as we are reducing it and then doing it. Okay, so we need to ask on here if it's less than 0, I would say. We need to think about it. But now it should be actually showing us 15 times, right? Okay, cool. So hope you enjoyed, friends.